Hi, it's Juris and welcome to Tattoo Shop Talk, weekly web show about random chit-chats and conversations that happen in tattoo shops. So this time we'll talk with Carlos about tattoo guest spots. Carlos, what is tattoo guest spot?
Tattoo guest spot is when you leave your comfort zone and become a traveling artist.
We talk how you find guest spots and what's happening and all that. I would like to ask you a few questions about things that are like, what's crazy about them? Like, do you get like a lot work? How you deal with that? What's maybe some unexpected situations? What's different from what you used to? What's happening on that side of comfort zone? Let's start with just whatever. What's been craziest things that happen, or what's things you should always keep in mind?
What I was doing from beginning, I kind of did proper research. I was making myself sure where I'm going, so I wasn't going just randomly to some spots. I didn't write the shops randomly. I asked around people, other tattooers, maybe they can recommend some place. Cause I've heard some crazy stuff.
Didn't look on Facebook forums. Huh?
No. I tried to look up, but I didn't look up some tattoo shops on forums. I also tried to send message to some shops that I follow a long time ago, professional shops and really good quality tattooers. So I did look up to some shops on Instagram which I was starting to follow a long time ago, and also, I made research about where some tattooers that I really like, where they work. Most of the answers were negative, so they didn't want to take me as a guest artist. And then I found out that lots of good shops don't want to try out new guest artists because they don't want to risk their reputation with some random guy. It's not always about how good quality tattoos you can make, but also about what kind of personality you have. And in shops where I've been, there have been some situations some time ago when guest spotting was super huge. There were people like traveling all around everywhere. You could be bad or good. I think it was a big boom like some years ago. I heard some horror stories that guest artist comes, he was super bad with cleaning stuff. He was really disrespectful for customers, so the shop reputation went low. That's why a lot of good shops don't take random tattooers. So you have to kind of know someone who knows someone.
I read even a thing where somebody faked themselves in. I don't know if it's as a guest or what, but like they figured out that that person didn't know what to do at all. Like it seemed like the person hadn't tattooed before.
Yeah. There was one guy who was like actually famous in States who came to Copenhagen. He was the worst ever. He did so bad talking with customers. Like basically, let's say he was just crazy rock star. He thought that the world spins around him, and the hygiene was terrible for him. He was throwing shit around. His station was packed with paper towels and gloves. So that's the thing that I kind of realized just in the beginning. And I didn't get offended that people didn't write me back. I understood that this is the problem, why they maybe don't want to take me. And also, usually good shops have enough guest artists, they don't want more. Also, there's a problem that a lot of good shops have just enough work for themselves and for those few friend guest artists they have, and they don't want to like share with some new guys.
Everyone's more busy on Instagram.
Yeah, exactly. I started to ask around. I started to take this slow, not like forcing it. For me, luckily, I had only mostly good experience. Of course, there have been places where the work was not enough. Still, I think if you go to the tattoo shop for first time, you don't have to expect to sell out completely, you will be the busiest guy ever. I think it takes time to build some kind of reputation. And for me, when I go to new places, I always look at this as a experience journey. You go to a new shop, you see how other tattooers work, learn some new things from them, see how the shop is running. This is my way of thinking.
That was actually tattoo artist guesting in some shops locally. It was like specific. It was more like the stuff that tattooists like, not the most of customers. So he was actually kind of busy because I know that with like 4 or 5 local tattooists just went to get like bigger pieces from him. So it wasn't he wasn't booked by customers, but he still had customers, and tattooists were like, I want your stuff. So that was also kind of that cool way.
Yeah. I've heard stories from some tattooers that when they started guest spotting and they had, let's say, around 7,000 followers on Instagram, they were not busy. When they reached to 20,000 more followers on Instagram, they suddenly got more busy. People started booking time with them more.
I heard even bigger numbers, and guys said you get a lot of those. Oh, when you will be in our area, and I think he was something around 20,000. And then when you go there, then obviously nobody have time or money or that, so you can't rely on just text messages.
Yeah.
Don't expect that you will be busy just because you appeared.
Yeah.
Maybe another question, yeah. So what's been like maybe some, I don't know. It's
There-
not unusual, but just different, or what you didn't expect, or surprised you, or didn't.
Yeah, my friend suggested me to go to one shop. I went there for first time, but I knew the guys who worked there. They knew me through Instagram. I knew them. Basically, like most of the tattooers in the shop were great, and the shop seemed kind of a bit like you didn't feel the teamwork. It was more like everyone is doing its thing, not try to be too loud in the shop or too funny or whatever. And then there was this one guy who I think he's a co-owner of the shop. We're tattooing and whatnot, and then I finished tattoo, and at some point he asked me, Carlos, come out, I need to talk with you. So I went out, and he was, no, there's one rule in our shop. If you're cocky, you will never come back here again. And I was looking at him, I was like, this seems so obvious. It's like, you don't even have to tell anyone, I think. You're just not gonna welcome him back anymore. But that was like weird. It felt like almost that he's just showing his toughness in this all situation.
But it makes sense. So.
But it makes sense. I mean, I respect that he told me that, but I just thought it's so funny because it's like, I expected, clean after yourself, our shop rules like clean the floor after you finish tattooing, but it was like nothing about that. It was just like, if you're gonna be cocky, we're gonna throw you away.
Are shops different one from another, or at least the type of shops that you go to, or they all have same vibe, or it's different from
different yeah. There is one shop that I love. I'm not the busiest. I go there for 4 days and I have 1-2 tattoos in 4 days, and I'm so happy to be there. The people working there so friendly, and always when I go there, we go eat dinner together. We have the owner of the shop is treating me so well. I stay with him in his apartment every time, and this is the beauty of guest spotting. I think if you are a cool guy, and if the shop is cool and the owner is cool, he always will find a place for you to stay, and you don't have to charge for staying in Airbnb or whatever.
Is that the place with all the concerts and all the geeky stuff?
No, it's in Germany.
There was one you said where it's always like a concert, and there's like...
That's also really awesome place. It's a new shop there, and it's a bit different. Like the guy's trying to build the team around him. That place in Germany, big team, super family like team. Everyone is just helping each other, everyone is laughing, everyone is exchanging with the music, and the beauty, the biggest beauty of that all is that they are all amazing tattooers. Like, you want to hang out with them, see how they work, and that's what matters for me at this point. And then there is places like Denmark, like when I come to you and I have a big client base here, I work my ass off, I do all I learned all these years, I do put out here, That's another crazy thing. I think I was guest spotting at your place and doing 22 days in a row just tattooing with no breaks. It's interesting. It's like, of course I've heard stories, you're artist, you can burn yourself out from creativity, but...
Yeah, but it's a physically tasking work.
Depends how motivated you are, and also how much you know. And those traditional tattoos are based on some kind of rules, and if you follow them, it becomes like a mechanism.
Yeah, but on a technical aspect, let's say, like if you're not used to it,
Oh shit, that's terrible. You're gonna cry. There have been times where I really felt it's too much. That's mostly because you start to stress out about things and the stress is killing you slowly. But when you feel confident and go with the flow, it's a bit easier.
Working in different shops, from the technical aspects, there's always like, something a bit different, I don't know, chair, a bit different stencil machine, a bit different supplies.
That was one of the hardest things I had to get used to, changing environments. And for me, I don't know if it's for every tattooer or even like artist. I really appreciate my own spot where I draw, and I remember it was so hard for me to draw in a new place, new table, new lights. It was just hard even to make the design. I couldn't like open up properly. And it was really taking a lot of years. Recently I can start to feel, but that I think that plays with confidence. New place, new chairs, that is really big thing. You have to get used to working in different type of environments, yeah.
Because even if we swap stations with my colleagues, because I don't know, one needed this bed and I need that. I know where everything is in that shop, but I just go 3 meters that way and I'm suddenly like, where's plastic wrap? Where's gloves?
Yeah, it's terrible. Yeah, I think it's good for tattooer to try different. It's like trying different machines almost, and trying different chairs, trying different rooms, different shops.
Outside the comfort zone.
Yeah, it's so. I think I always thought that if a tattooer is sitting in one spot for too long, it's never gonna be in a long-term good progress.
Well, let's say this time you tried the Bishop pen machine.
Oh man!
And like it's something that in your shop where people don't use them, you would never try it because you wouldn't like. Why would someone buy it? Just to try it,
I loved it. I love the fact that I tried it. I think I have to try more to understand more what's what, but it was really interesting. I didn't felt really comfortable. I think I did.
And now you can tell to people who's like, well, at least you should try. You can be like,
I tried. Step away from my sandwich. I tried it. So yeah, man, this is everything you try is good, for you.
Do you learn a lot from guest spot?
I did learn a lot about how to talk with customers, about you go to a new shop, you check how he's interacting with customers, how he's selling his flash, how he's drawing. And there been one shop where I was amazed about the guy is just making designs super small, and then he sizes up. And then he's like, oh man, I spend 20 minutes on one design just because it's small. And when you make it bigger scan it in and make it bigger afterwards, the tattoo design looks like proper old school with not too much details, And I'm like, wow. So I started doing that a lot. Even how you set up your stage, how you use the strokes, how you...
I learned from you going to guest spots. You always come back, you're like, oh, then I learned this, then I learned that.
Yeah.
So, okay, I'll remember that.
Yeah.
What was it? I was just about to
But that's what's good about having guest spots, guest artists.
Yeah.
I think this is another topic for tattoo shops where how important actually it is to have a guest artist in your shop if it's like a good artist. Because back in days when electric tattooing was existing, where I started my career, I learned so much from guest artists. There were like, I think, more than 20 tattooers who was coming all the time and going, and it was beneficial for the shop, for us, for manager. We learned a lot from that, so it's really important to have that.
Actually, there's also a shop which is super commercial shop. It's one of those, like they would drag in guest artists from like some Ukraine type of things, and then they think they're making a lot of money at the first guest spot here, but they good artists, but they sell all the time out, and because they put like super cheap, they put like third of average price in a city. But I talked to someone who's apprentice there. They said those guest artists are really nice people. They don't have to tell us anything because we're just apprentices there. But they would come up and be like, try this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
And they said that was a situation when there was like 11 apprentices and like only guest artists and apprentices had apprentices, and they said that like that one girl, she quit because she said, I'm most experienced apprentice here and I don't have anyone to learn from. It's only if guest artist comes. So
Yeah, amazing.
she went to shop where it's actually more movement and actual tattoos, but even in places like that they said we learn from guest artists because they come, they nice, they teach us.
Yeah.
They never come back because of the other reasons, but still there's like exchange of experience type
Yeah,
of thing.
yeah. We also had some tattooers who didn't want it to come back, who were great because of some issues of maybe the management from boss's side.
They will like promise that they will be busy, and then
Mostly
they come and they have 3 tattoos in a week. Like guy told me, he said I can make that money back home because I don't have to travel and all that. He said I rather do less work at home and spend time with family instead of smoke weed in some dude shop.
Yep. And this is like if you invite a guest artist, never do promise you cannot make, you know. For example, if you have a tattoo shop and you want to have a guest artist, how can you tell if that tattooer will be good enough? It's like the thing that you did with one girl or whatever it was, who wanted to work in our shop, and then you just wrote the shop she's from, almost like ask if you can tell something about.
I know it was a guy applying to work, and I just wanted to check is it ended on good terms in other place, because we had all sorts of people who would sell their gift cards in the previous shop that they work, and then they go away and people want the work done but the guy's not there, so like it's all these money issues, or you know, people, I don't know, grab money too much or grab customers too much or whatever. So it's, I think if you would contact the shop and ask what's up and this something bad would happen, they would definitely tell you. So that's my kind of double checking. But from the guest artist, like, you know,
It's hard. It's like a bit of a gamble.
you check the work if it's good enough and if you are busy enough that people require.
I would just write. I would ask around, maybe someone you know who knows someone who's guest spotting around, and then from there that guy comes, and then you can ask him. Maybe he knows someone. If a place is good, there will be people wanting.
I think
to come.
it's okay to ask.
It's totally okay.
Yeah, just like, you know, they will say no or ignore you in the worst case if you position your question reasonably.
But one thing I learned, like this is a little bit back to guest artists. One thing I learned from one tattooer a long time ago was, it was a good one. My boss was kind of not the best boss in the world. I might go to another shop, we have a drink, and then I'm like, you know, my boss, he fucking dickhead, he's this and he's that. This is the first rule. Never talk bad about your boss, because that guy does not know shit about your boss. Maybe he will think that you're just a fucking asshole who just like to talk shit behind others' backs.
I mean, sometimes, you know, after a couple of drinks you get a bit too emotional and all that.
But it sticks
you have
with me. Yeah.
You have to control it. Because
Don't talk shit about your things, yeah.
I had new tattooists coming to work, and first 3 days they just talk shit about how bad their boss was, how they mistreated were. And then you kind of like...
You don't know what to think anymore.
If everyone is driving opposite direction, maybe you are on the wrong side of the street. You know?
Iceland was an interesting place to guest spot. I was basically... The owner wasn't there. There was just a friend of mine who kind of set me in there. Obviously the boss saw my work and said, yeah, he can come. But I was pretty much left alone there. Everything was by myself.
Did you have to book your own customers?
No, that wasn't there. That wasn't there. But I was like there mostly alone, tattooing. It was weird, but good in a good way. I really liked it. I liked it a lot. But
one of our boys said that he was last time at the previous shop when it was kind of getting all wild, where people were jumping over each other to get customers. He's maybe here third time. In the evening he said I would open shop's computer with Google Translate, reply to messages and book myself up because nobody was booking for me. There were other people who would just, somebody comes in, they would run up and just grab those customers. He said like first time when he came it was nice, everything was sorted, people were booked, there were references and all that. And the last time it was like a animal cage where you're just like, you have to fight for your piece of meat.
Wow.
I imagine just guy comes from other side of planet to work, and you have no work. You have to Google translate messages
Oh my
from
God.
Danish to whatever.
I have also heard of guests, the shops which takes guest artists. First 2 times they show it's like North Korea. The best 2 times they do everything they can just to show the best of themselves, and then third time you come, like the guy who went there, he made so much money those first 2 times, and then second time he comes with the hope it's gonna be the same, and there's nothing, and then the guy's like, no, come again, and then you come again and it's again nothing, and you see there's a lot of tattooers from other countries just also sitting and doing nothing. And
I heard that in some places one guy said they would invite artists, and then they would promise like, oh, your price will be like, I don't know, 5,000 krona for a day, and you get like 50%, and then they're like, okay, we don't know what happened, maybe you can drop your price to 3.5, and blah blah blah, and like it's a common thing. And also in one of these commercial shops they have this sort of system that you come in first time, they sell your day session for like 2,000, and then they're like, yeah, next time you will come you'll get like 2.5 or 3. And I spoke to one guy who came. He said he was pretty chill dude. He's like, I wanted to try, it's fine for me, it's pretty cheap, but they gave me place where to live, I see what the customers are, what's the vibe, I'm chill. He's like, I understand that I'm just a tool there, but we'll see. And he said like, well, maybe if they promise more next time, then yeah, because he was booked. It was just, like I said, it's a third of the average price in the city. He said he was cool, but from what I understand, he's not coming back. He tried and he's like, yeah, it's fine.
wow. A bit of a gambling. If you do a research, it might help a lot. Ask around. That's the way to do it.
Is communicate, yeah.
Yeah.
And also I think it's good to talk with the shop also from the previous place and from the artist I know in person. It's just there's a manager, there's an owner, manager says one thing, owner says like you're super booked up, manager says it's 50-50. He says like first time you want to be polite to the place and the place want to be polite to you, so maybe they'll invite you to extra dinner or something. The next time it chills out, the third time like, you know, it is what it is, but no one ever talked specifically like I need at least this much, like some guarantees from one side, from other side.
I also heard conventions are a good way to make deals with guest spots.
Now they're dying off in Denmark because of the local rules, because it's complicated to come in officially, because everyone have to have that certificate. So I don't know how the convention guys have to sort it out. It makes no sense for them to make conventions if they lose half of the customers because of one stupid rule. You know? You can see that there's these interest groups, like people are, they can finally meet or meet with an area, so that's a really good.
Yep. One of my friends tattooers, he was like all the way. He always went to every convention just to talk with the other shops, and he actually made a really good friendship with a lot of shops and did guest spots, a lot of guest spots in Europe. So that's an option.
There was an app, but it's a paid one, I think. It's for people who look for guest artists and for guest artists who look for shops. And there was an option of rating.
Oh.
So, you know, if something went down, you could be like 1 star there.
Isn't that Tattoo also doing something?
Maybe. And I've seen people also dropping comments on some of those Facebook pages when they were like, I went there, this happened, that happened. But it's just like, you know, Facebook pages is...
But this is what happens when you shuffle your targets. You don't shuffle your targets. Be sure. It's like, of course, there can be a lot of bad experience if you go blindly somewhere, you know.
You know what could be another option to reach out? Because like you go to new country, okay, you can, if you know some people in that shop, cool, ask them. But if you don't know, you can always find somebody from your country tattooing in that country. And you can be like, okay, what's the situation? You know?
Yeah, totally.
What people talk.
And if you have nobody to ask, start to create relationship with other tattooers.
Yeah, but if you don't know any tattooists, then you are the best tattooist from all you know. Okay, that was our chit chat with Carlos about his experiences with guest spots and how to look into stuff, how to find best one, what's the benefits of them, and what can go wrong. If you have anything to share, then leave that in the comment section. And the usual, check all the links, share our videos, press like buttons, check our playlists, subscribe to Carlos's channel, and see you in a future episode.
Talk.